Hello and welcome back to Azarmorph builds the Millennium Falcon, and in this episode we're going to be covering off issue 4. As always, we're going to kick off with the magazine and then we're going to look at the parts that come with the magazine. This will change once we get to the magazine, the editions I haven't opened yet. So, if we turn over the page, what do we get to see? We get to see that we're kicking off where we left off in issue 3, which is talking about the X-Wing. A picture of Luke Skywalker in amongst the contents pages for the magazine, but it goes on into a bit more detail about the X-Wing. In this instance, up in the elements here, it's talking about weaponry, which is, in this instance, they say it could be a 4 TAIM, so that's TAM, I'm thinking, and back 4X9 or 1X4 las cannons. So it just gives you a taste. It goes into that kind of level of detail. It just really shows that there's been quite a lot of thought put into these, into the background of all the machinery in the films. Then we turn over the page and there's the co-pilot for the X-Wing for Luke Skywalker, R2-D2, played by a lovely guy called Kenny Baker, who sat in the tin, as it were, for, what was it, 3 films, if not more. Obviously during the film of Star Wars, Return of the Jedi and Empire Strikes Back, not in chronological order there, you'll notice. I was going to say something about the R2-D2. One of the more interesting experiences I've had was when I was working as an engineer with the BBC at Television Centre. There's not many people that can say when they turned up to work, turning out, you know, when you get home and your wife says, "How was your day?" You sit there and go, "It's great. I walked into my office this morning, I sat beside a full-scale model of R2-D2, and I then tried to sit in Davros's chair on Doctor Who." Yes, I actually got to sit beside a life-scale model of R2-D2, which the BBC had put together. It was sold on in auction, and it raised quite a lot of money for a good charity. I did have a little bit at it, but was well outbidded by a fellow Star Wars fan, but I do know it's gone to a good home. Anyhow, a bit of inside trivia on myself. It does go on to talk about the model X-Wing here, and this item here, what it basically goes on to mention is that in Return of the Jedi, they wanted to do a closer-up filming of the X-Wing. And that gave them a problem, because obviously all the models they've been making to this time were small, compact, with lights and other things in it. However, fortunately for them, 2 of the industrial light and magic model makers had actually been working a scale 1:2 model in their spare time, as you do. And when they found that out, they actually commissioned them to finish the model, which is, again, an interesting piece of trivia, and again, why I quite like to sit down and read these magazines. So then we go on to talk about the Moon of Endor, which played a key part in Return of the Jedi. We're talking about Ewoks in this, and the planet itself. Basically, as you can see here, physical details. It's terrestrial, 4,900 kilometers in diameter. It's a Type 1 gravity, 85% standard, but mostly forest. All that kind of information here, really good stuff. It goes on to mention it over here about the Ewoks, how they like to go on bridges because there's dangers in the ground level, which I don't think is fully explained in Return of the Jedi, but it's background stories. It kind of enriches the world that we all have come to love. So I'm just going to flick over again. And then it comes over to the key points, which highlights the bunker and the landing pad. This is where Luke Skywalker meets up with Darth Vader, because the AT-AT walks into shot on the landing pad. Again, this is the whole point of it, that this is the shield generator that's protecting the second Death Star as it gets built. So again, it's a nice good little bit, and it also again talks about the location, which is in the northern California, in amongst the redwoods, and yeah, massive trees. Yes, those trees are actually real. And it goes on to that, so it's really good. And then we get back to our the crux of this series, which is the Millennium Falcon, and the hull plating and framing, years of service, and the fact is that Luke Skywalker, when he first saw it, thought it was a hunk of junk. But in fact, it's the fastest ship in the galaxy, all that kind of good stuff. And then if we flick over, we got a bit of a nice shot of the interior, which is seems to be one of the key areas that we're going to be focusing on. Not in this episode, but I think in the upcoming episodes we'll be doing a lot of work in interior. So this part will become quite important to us for a bit. But then it goes on to talk about the actual exterior of the ship and the plating, and it's better viewed on this page here, where they put together plastic models to make up, you use plastic models to make up the parts, but they also did something really quite smart with the plating. They toothed the plating and they layered the plating to give it that extra dimension, which I think works very well. But again, shown in a bit more detail over here. And then if I turn over the page again, we're into the main part, we're into the building of it. And we've got some key components to talk through. Now, as you'll see, we haven't gone back to my Industrial Lights and Magazine book, because again, it talked about it in some good detail, the key points that were in the magazine, and I didn't feel there was anything really necessary there to enrich from that book. Obviously, if there's some material out there you think I should be referring to, I'm more than happy to do so, but by all means, put it in the comments down below, and we can make this even more intuitive episodes. Anyway, let's push on to the parts. The first parts we're going to talk about are the console, back rear console of the cockpit, and I'm just making sure I've got the right part in front of me here. Yes, it does look like that. So there we go. It's not, I think it looks a little bit extended there, but it's this is the piece that slots onto the front of the cockpit. So that's a pretty straightforward piece, pretty bland and black, but again, it's probably one of those pieces that they're going to touch up with the painting and decorating with the with the painting of the model. Oh, I've really got my teeth in today, haven't I? And the next parts we're talking about is more framework. It gets actually a bit more exciting here, because as you can see over here, there's quite a lot of it. If I can just stop the light shining off it, it starts to bring the pieces that we've done already together, if you have a look at this top part. But anyway, first pieces we're going to bring in here are the hull sections. So we've got one hull section like so, and we've got another hull section like so. I am going to do the same. We're just going to cut back in a minute to have a look at these in more detail. We've also got some more joining plates, so I'm going to have to get my old screwdriver out. So I'm going to stick that one there. There, you can just see it there. And then there's another one here with some screws already in it, because what I'm trying to do is preempt it, but you can see the little black screws there. And we've got a whole load, if you can see this little picture, load of screws here. But the interesting one is we've got a thicker type of screw. Now, you won't be able to see that here, but what we'll do is a close-up. These are quite interesting. I'm not going to tell you what they are right now. So, a little bit of a tease. I feel like being a little bit of a tease. So what I'm now going to do is we're now going to drop the camera, and we're going to click close in, and we're going to start building this Millennium Falcon. We're back with the plan first and foremost, because I just want to give an update of where we are. As you know, we've done TF1, 2, 3 and 4, and in this issue we get TF5 and TF6. So as you can see, we're beginning to make good progress with the, I'll call it the underhull, because the white plates on top will call this the actual hull. So this is the superstructure, that's the word I'm looking for, superstructure. So we're making good track with the superstructure, and we're moving forward. Obviously looking forward to getting TF7, TF8 and TF9 to bring all that together, because we've got the hull, outer hull for here. But it's moving along quite nicely. So if we take that away, we can have a look at the metalwork. And as you can see here, we've got the framework that we've built in from the last episode, and we've got the substructure here of TF5 and TF6. What I would say is that we've also got a lot of screws, as you can see here. The black ones you know about. Now this might not work, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab one of those screws and then bring it up to the camera. Let's see if that actually, you can pick that up. Yep, there you go. Now as you can see with that screw, it's got a bit of a lip to it. Now the reason for that is these are actually the screws that will screw the outer hull to the superstructure, and there it's just focused in nicely there for you. So we've got a few of those, so we're actually in this episode going to screw the outer hull to this, and the piece that we actually get screwed together is one of the first, it's the first piece that we showed. Well, hey, there we go. But we're not going to go to that straight away. No. The first thing we're going to deal with is we're going to deal with this black piece that's down here. This is the front end of the cockpit. Now I'm going to try and get that in the light and in focus a little bit. There we go. I don't know if you can see that. Let's see. I did get this easily enough when I did a little bit of a rehearsal on it, because I do try and rehearse these. But there we go. There we go. Now, that is the front of the cockpit. That will be visible through the glass, but let's get the cockpit in from the last episode. Haha, there we go. Now, as you can see, just at the point, you will notice that I have taken out the controls and the thrust handles, because I want to keep them stored in a tin, because at the moment I haven't glued this together. Obviously when I start gluing it together I'll let you know, but there we go. At the front end here we've got two spikes, don't know if you can tell, there we go, I've touched it. like that. You might just make them out there because it's all black. You got your two prongs there, which then attach to these parts here. Now, if I've got this right, the semicircle of it is at the bottom. So I'll just click this together for us. And it fits in there nicely. That's quite nice. That's quite tidy, actually. And there we go. So we've now got the front end of this, which, as I say, we'll see in through the glass of the cockpit. So that's the cockpit piece, and as you can see, they just let out a little bit of the cockpit every issue, which we're showing in every episode, and slowly but gradually we're getting a cockpit together, which is really quite nice. So I'm going to put that out of the way because that's all we're going to do with the cockpit in this episode. Now we're back to the metalwork. Now, we're not going to show you all the screwing together because, to be honest, I got some good feedback from not just online but through friends, and their comments were that once you've seen one screw in, you don't need to see them all. So it's not a case of I'm going to be fast forwarding it with music or anything like that. We're just going to put one screw in and then I'll disappear and then I'll come back. Now the first piece I've picked up is TF5, and what I've done is I've put that into place on top of some of the, let me just get my screwdriver to point out, some of the brackets that we built in. There's one there. There's another one there. If I take it off, you'll see there. So there's one bracket there, and there's one bracket, the other one there. So therefore I'm going to place that on there, and I am going to do one screw. Just line that up nicely. I'm going to do one screw on camera, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to disappear off and screw the rest together. So let me just do this one here because it looks like it'll be the easier one for me to get. In you go. Thank you very much. And then we'll just screw that into place. I like a show. And there we go. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to put that screw in and that screw in, and then I'll be right back. And there you go. We've got the screws in and that one nice and simply done. Now we're going to go on to the next piece, which is simply slot that into there, and then I'm going to screw that in. But not only that, we've got these two plates down here, you can see here and here. Those two plates will now go on to here and over to here to bind this piece into place. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and screw these in off camera. Just do another quick one there for you so that you can see it all kind of connected together. And then what we'll do is we'll come back with the one plate that we're going to screw on, and we'll screw that into place, and we'll see the product at this level. So there you go, screwed in, so you can see it's beginning to come together. So now I'm going to go and do some more screwing of those black screws into the metalwork, and yeah, be back in a second. So there we go, I've screwed it all together now. We've got all the parts together, nice and firm and together. Let's just flip it back over again. You can see all the plates there with the screws in, all done and dusted. The additional plate added here and here. So it's all done. Now we get to add, so it's getting to be quite some size because I've not got small hands. And it's going to be quite some size. So now we'll get the outer hull that we've got already, and I'll just flip this over. So just bear with me a second whilst I flip this over. And then if I place that down, you can see I'll just put that down there for the moment. You've got the little white points where the screws will be going into, which then lead into the holes like so. We click that into place. Nice and tight. You don't even need the screws on it, to be fair. That's holding together quite nicely as it is. But let's put a screw in and get it all fixed together. So again, big hands are going to be in the way here, so if you bear with me a second. No, that's not going to work. So I'm going to now have some fun and games to put these screws in at the angle I've got to do that. Let me just take that off screen and then come right back in again. And then if I drop that in there, there you go, just like that. And that'll hold it into place. Now what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to go off camera and screw the rest of this in. And there you go, all the screws are now in. I think that looks quite cool. Nice and strong and firm, which is what we want to protect the model. And I'm going to just drop that a little bit longer, down, a little bit further. In fact, let me put it on the table. Try and get it in view. Because what we can do is add that onto there, and you can get to see the size of it. Obviously with the circular element that will be up the top here. It's going to be a monster. It's going to be a monster. But anyhow, I think that's enough for us today, saying that that's now covered everything in issue 4. Obviously, in the next issue, we'll cover issue 5. So, I hope you've enjoyed the episode. If you do, please, by all means, leave me a like. And until next time, boys, girls, ladies and gentlemen, aliens and other life forms, may the Force be with you, and stay safe.